Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
You just don't know how painful this is just to get this pen out of my pocket.
Okay, public comment. I see two of our favorite ladies here. What can we do for you?
Hello, nice to see you all again. Mindy Kimball from the Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee. We had a Zoom meeting this last week with Mr. Jeff Demansky, who is the representative from the CCA program administrator from Jewel. He outlined for us and our little subcommittee that we still have pretty actively involved volunteers, outlined for us what the timeline would look like for the CCA to be enacted. And they are ready now. New York State has given them, the company, the go-ahead based on the agreement that was signed, the local laws that were passed. They are able to start the timeline now. And so just wanted to give you all an update and an overview, and we'll keep the board informed as the process proceeds. But pretty much they're ready to kick off this 60-day information campaign where the whole point is to inform the community of what's coming and get the word out. So they're going to be pushing as much as possible who are the good groups for them to inform. Can they come to some meetings? Can they put on some local events? And also they wanted to make sure that we understood for regulatory requirements, the village as well is going to be coming on with the CCA at the same time, but they will have to have separate events which can overlap and anybody can come to these events, but it's kind of to our benefit. We'll get double the information coverage in the local area for these CCA information events. And again, they highlighted that we are not locked in to this CCA yet. They have to still come back to us with what is the rate and what is the agreement. We still have to say, yeah, we really do want to do that. And we're just at that phase right now. And Mr. DeWitt, thank you for joining us in that session, as well as Mr. Sullivan. We're going to make sure that we stay fully in line with informing the board whatever's going on at any given time, and make sure we take good notes in all of these meetings so that we can share it with everybody and just be as transparent as possible. We feel like that's the most important thing for everybody being informed. But the biggest thing, which I'm so excited to share with everybody, is how exciting it is, the timing of this, because we're hearing from a lot of folks that the electricity bills are going through the roof, and what the CCA agreements are not seeing is any change in the rate that they have agreed on. So we're looking to hopefully get a significant savings on electricity rates for our residents. But we're happy to answer any questions, and myself and Olga are at your disposal for answering or going to find out any information if you need it.
Now the village is into this the same as we are.
Yes, they are.
Same provider and all this.
Same provider, yes, and the same timeline.
And how about the same committee, or is there something different?
It is the same committee, and we do have members of the volunteer committee that are that live in the village and live in the town.
Great, no, that's good. But I was worried about that when you first started, if it would be just the town outside the village. But, and we
Right.
really need the village in the programs.
Yes,
So it's
yeah,
great that they're
I
in it.
think so, yep. So we'll just keep you informed, and we'll keep offering to answer any questions, and we appreciate your time. It's really exciting for us to be the first ones in the county to go with CCA, so. Question?
Just two questions, Mindy. When the village has a meeting and the town has a meeting, you could go to either one. Is that
Correct.
correct? People from Fort Montgomery could go to the village meeting if they want. It's going to be
Correct.
exactly the same.
Correct.
Same information and vice versa.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely
And-
correct.
And then also, on the CCA rate versus the, commercial provider rate, will they have that information available at these meetings so people will know what kind of savings they could potentially get?
Yes, they should. Is that accurate, Olga? I think until we get a contract offer, they can't actually tell us what the rate is going to be.
Yeah.
So they'll have example rates from local communities,
Okay.
but they won't, actually have a contracted rate until
ours is.
we're ready to sign.
Right.
But we would absolutely see that before
Right.
we would
And,
sign.
and the rate from the contract, when it is signed, that will be the same rate whether you are living in Fort Montgomery or Highland Falls?
Yes, it should be.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It should be.
This is it's the same. It's going to be not just our two communities, but other communities are
Right.
joining into this aggregate.
Right, right.
Yep.
Can I just say a few things? First of all, Joe, thank you for kind of filling in for me. I was only able to attend about 20 minutes of that meeting. I'm pretty familiar with everything. I did ask Jeff, who's a very good speaker, to record one of these. I'd like to put it on our website, save a lot of people a lot of questions. It's pretty much the same material, And I did ask him, I've asked this a couple of times, the town itself has 14 electric accounts with Orange and Rockland. This is on me. 2 years ago, we had the company that Bill Etzel hired before my time to get us money back for being overcharged. I think we got back about $18,000 out of that, if I'm not mistaken. That led into, we had a woman came here and spoke. Her name was Michelle Reese. She spoke in October of 2019, and we agreed to lock in with her for 2 years. That 2 years expired, and I did not initiate re-upping with her because I thought we'd be on board with this. So Jeff Domansky says our 14 accounts, none of which are major industrious, can be a part of this. We'd sort of have an image problem if we didn't. That's the reason I was doing that. But at the moment right now, poor Kelly, because Michelle Reese's direct energy contract expired, is getting a bill from Orange and Rockland and from Constellation, one for delivery and one for supply, and we're going to fix that, at least temporarily. I can't wait till June or whatever this happens. We have to do something now to get our rates down and to make it so Kelly's not getting duplicate bills on those 14 accounts. Michelle came here last week. We met with her. I think she's meeting with Kelly this week to finalize a deal that I'll present to the board at the next meeting. Again, I want us to be on board with CCA and their rates, but in the meantime, we're getting clobbered. Central Hudson's charging 22 cents a kilowatt in Cornwall right now.
22 cents.
I think the village at the last meeting accepted some sort of a contract for a 3-year contract, actually. Did they?
They did. It seems like they're in the same situation where they needed to re-up the contract, and so it'll depend on what the specifics of the contract is, if there's a penalty for ending early or not, and then we can weigh whether or not that's money saving or
Right.
or
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
But if Michelle were to come here and speak, just be forewarned, because she's sort of a competitor to this, they're going to tell you how much of a mistake we're all making. Don't listen to it. They all do the same thing.
Just one more question, I'm sorry. And we are still looking at, and Richie sort of alluded to it, we're still looking at a cutover in June for this to happen?
That's what the timeline is looking like right now with this 60-day information campaign. And then after the 60-day information campaign, there's the 30-day period where it's like, okay, now you can opt out or sign up, and then it happens.
But sign up is automatic, is that
Sign
correct?
up is automatic by default, and you would have to opt out if you don't want it. But you'll know what the prices are so that you can say, no, I don't want that price. I want to stay with what I've got. Yep.
And you can opt in and out as
Yes.
often as you want, right?
That's the beauty of this whole program, and New York State is protecting that very vigorously, is there's no penalty for opting in or opting out, and you can come in, come out, come in, come out as often as you want. All right,
Anybody else?
thanks for
Thank
your
you very
time.
much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Olga, you have anything?
Other than the whole list of things that we're working on?
Okay. Olga and I had a meeting the other day, and she gave me a whole list of things that they're doing, not wanting to do, but that they actually are doing. And I think you're more involved in that than I am, but that's a good thing. Okay. Previous minutes, meeting February, Valentine's Day. I have a motion to
So moved.
accept the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Communications, I received a letter from Lisa Hofflich, who is the Hudson Valley Regional Director and Special Advisor to the Office of Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. She's leaving, and she wanted to introduce us and give me the address of a Michael Scheid. He will be taking over all Hudson Valley duties, as I am no longer with the Senator's office. Michael's been briefed on the information affecting the communities in Delaware, Dutchess, Orange, Putnam, Rockland, Sullivan, Westchester, and Ulster counties. And I have his email address, so if anybody wants to contact him for some reason, such as getting help from the senator, I have his address, and what I'll do is I'll send this letter to the board members so you have it firsthand. I received tonight, just before I got at 6 o'clock, a letter from the state announcing a program that they have that will help low-income families pay their water and sewer bills. Of course, there's certain criteria that they have to meet. We have to register as a vendor. Once we're a vendor and once they sign up for the program, whatever they get out of the program is automatically sent to us to either reduce or take care of the bills. So, and I know we have a number of them that are behind on the water and sewer bills. So this is a good program. I'll get all the information together as quick as I can, but like I said, I just got it tonight. Today, I transferred $49,291 from the consolidated account to the paying account. The bigger items are the New York State Comptroller, the state portion of court fees, $13,311. Rockland County Solid Waste tipping fees, $10,947. Global Monticello diesel fuel, $3,006.70. Schmidt's Wholesale, which was for water meters, $2,993. Those are the water meters you don't like, Richie.
That would be correct.
Okay. And Costco Heritage Energy for heating oil, $2,013. Any questions on that from the board?
No.
Okay, liaison reports. We'll start with Jim.
Okay, thank you, and good evening to everyone. Just a couple of things. I think later on tonight, we're going to be looking at hiring 1 or 2 EMTs. So there are actually 4 vacancies, and so we will be, we're in the process of identifying people to potentially do that. So I think more to follow here in a few minutes on that.
Yeah.
Secondly, had an opportunity to, and I've reported on this a few times over the last year or so, that, again, just as a reminder, Orange County has been given a grant from the federal government to look at a military electric transmission resiliency. It has to do with West Point, in our particular case, is the military installation. There are others around the country, but Orange County has this grant, and it is starting to take off. There was a contractor that it was a competitive award, contractor by the name of Tetra Tech. I personally am not familiar with them, but was on a kickoff meeting on Friday talking with them about this. They will be hosting some public information sessions. Their timeline is in April to do that. And part of that is going to be the identification of potential issues in terms of whether it's natural or man-made type of issues that might cause problems with electric transmission, what some of those issues might be. It's a study, again, what some of those issues might be and what could be some potential workarounds and things that could be done to enhance some redundancy. The reason I'm even talking about this is part of this from the federal government is, again, to include the local community. And Orange County, fortunately for us, has defined the local community as being the town of Highlands, which involves the village of Highland Falls and the town outside of the village. And so we're involved in that. I'm part of the advisory group for that. They're also asking if anyone in the local community, and I'm sort of looking at our police department, maybe DPW, if we have any information, any studies, any plans, anything at all that this contractor could look at in terms of any work that has been done already so that they're not reinventing the wheel and maybe building on that. I told them that I was not aware of any, but that I would ask the question and everything. So I'm going to be getting some briefing charts from them. I'd hope to have had them tonight, but I don't have them yet, but I'll send them out to the board and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about and what the timeline is. Bottom line is they hope to have this study done by the November timeframe of this year. And so there will be some things that they're going to be asking our support on in terms of setting up, working with them to set up a public meeting, what the right venue would be, who would be some good people to invite, that kind of stuff. Now, regarding the CCA, I have no idea if this is something that needs to be thought about or not thought about, but when I was listening to them, it was one of the first things I was sort of wondering about too. So that could be an offline, either with Richie, I can talk to him about it, or with our committee, and something at least to be aware of, if nothing else. So that was Friday, so that's starting to grow some legs and take off and go someplace now. Just a reminder, or not a reminder necessarily, but perhaps it is. This coming weekend is Plea Parent Weekend at West Point. Good expectation. Don't know what the weather's going to be like, but good expectation of there being a lot of cadet parents in the area, especially for the fourth classmen, the freshmen, the plebes. That's going to be this weekend. Good opportunities for businesses and others to perhaps take advantage of that. Was told by the PAO folks that over at the Visitor Center, if any of our businesses have menus, pamphlets, advertising, whatever, bring it over to the Visitor Center, and they would be happy to have that on display to offer to any of the visitors. And then not this week, the current week we're in, but next week is going to be spring break for the cadets too. So they will be off doing some other things, I guess. All right, and so that's it. I've got other things I'll talk about a little bit later on, but that's it for the liaison report. So thank you very much.
Councilman DeWitt.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. Real quick tonight, Highway Department, as we know, we had that slap down by the ice storm the other day. Our kudos to our highway crew, as always, did a great job. We went through a lot of salt, but nothing that really dented our reserves, so it's all really good news there. reaching out about the community center. Reminder that the community center is there to be utilized by the community, and Ann Molina wanted to let everybody know they're always looking for good suggestions for senior activities. And Olga Anderson's going to be working with the center to help coordinate things with the seniors. Thanks, Olga, again for coming on board with that and trying to put things together for the entire community. Again, reminder that MJ nicely puts things in the paper weekly about, she chronicles all the offerings that the community center has to offer. Spanish classes are starting in March to be held at the Holy Innocents Parish Hall. Again, reach out to the paper for the info on the times. And the center is open every Tuesday and Thursday from 10:30 to noon to drop in, say hi, check things out, check out our upcoming events. So please be supportive. I just want to send a personal note of thanks to the Highland Falls Fire Department. They hosted the New York Blood Center for a blood drive today, and it looked like they had a pretty good turnout. And we all understate the importance of giving blood when you can. And again, kudos to the Highland Falls Fire Department for having that today. And thanks again to Olga Mindy for asking me to be part of the CCA. And as you heard Jim talking about the other things that are coming up with the West Point Power ideas, I look forward and with Richie Sullivan working on it. Thank you very much. Hopefully I'll get to learn a lot and get this thing done. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman King. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Just a few notes from me this evening. Start off with emergency management. Had a good conversation with Kurt Hahn, our emergency management coordinator, and we discussed all the activities in preparation for any type of contingencies that we have coming. But more importantly, we talked about having our New Year emergency management meeting with all the key players like the fire department, the police department, all the first responders, the ambulance corps, and so forth. Looking at the second week of March, and right now he's trying to coordinate the space of the Highland Falls Fire Department for that meeting. More to follow on that once we get all the details locked in. Additionally, I want to talk about so just so everyone's aware, we've been reviewing the drug and alcohol policies for the town. More specifically, Ms. Tiffany Moltanese is taking the lead on that. And just so the board is aware, we're ready for review and or adoption of that policy whenever we are ready. But the documentation is already done, so we just need to take a look. Also met with the police union for the, I think, third time, and so very good meeting in terms of negotiations with those guys. It's very, very professional on both sides, and I think we're very close to coming to an agreement with the PBA. So stand by for more to follow on that. And I heard my colleague talking about what's happening at the center. A lot of great activities as usual. A lot of great things for our senior residents in particular. And as you were talking, I scrolled through my notes and saw that they also have in the year of 2022 a trip planned in May. Believe it or not, it's only a couple months away, to New Orleans. Yeah. So save up your go cash in your cans or your bottles, whatever you got to do to get your change together, because that should be a nice trip down to New Orleans to the Sands Casino, I think it is, or right? I mean, neither, but it's in New Orleans. And then in July, that's in May, and in July they're talking about Toronto. So I don't know if I qualify for senior citizen, but I think I'm getting close, and maybe they need a chaperone on the bus or something.
The white fuzz on your beard says you qualify.
Hey, I'm the youngest member on this board, and I got my AARP.
That's all I got, Supervisor.
Councilman Sullivan.
Thank you. So the Zoning Board of Appeals, I say this all the time, meets on the third Wednesday of the month, which will be March 16th. They will meet. They met last month, whatever the date was, and they had 2 applicants. One didn't come. The other one was for Key Bank, and I don't want to paraphrase anything inaccurately. In short, what they were looking for exceeds more than quadruple what the current code allows for. So I think everybody was going to drop back and think. I don't know, the applicant isn't on the agenda yet. He still has a few more days before the timeline is up. I'm not sure what direction he's going to go. And I would like to thank Ty and Joey DeWitt for coming to that meeting. It was pretty well attended. They had it here. And like I said, there was some discussion about what to do, but in short, their current zoning was being exceeded by 4 times, more than 4 times what it allows. So that's where that's at. The planning board met the next night, and Mr. King came to that one also. They had a public hearing on Thayer Flats Hotel. There was only 1, possibly 2 public comments, and 5 minutes later they closed the public hearing. I'd just like to take a moment to say, like, I spend a lot of time telling people that these things are happening. I try and be transparent. And I go on Facebook and I see people all over the place with conjecture, and it is like very real what's happening. It's very defined, and there's no guessing to it. You can listen to the meetings, come to their meetings in person, read the minutes which are on our website. Sometimes they film the meetings like ours and you can watch it on YouTube. So, I mean, I just hate to see people all over the place with the conjecture. The building is down. The building department went through I'll talk about them in a minute, a great deal of trouble to accommodate the applicant, who kept on submitting things that were insufficient or inaccurate. So that got done. And also the owner of Thayer Flats, or whatever, Thayer Flats, Thayer Spa, whatever they're calling it, is also, I don't know if he actually owns it yet, but we all know he's buying the Methodist Church. And I'm going to say this now, there was some discussion about parking and having a shortage of parking. And at that hearing, he indicated that once he buys the Methodist Church, that some of what he's going to use for the parking up at Thayer Flats will occur at the Methodist Church with some redesign, which will require a site plan of that property before the other one can be approved. Is everything I said accurate for the most part?
Yeah, it's not his only plan, it's one of his
Okay,
considerations
just one of
for
his
parking.
options. So that was what was before the planning board. Come see for yourselves out there in the audience if you want to, which will be on St. Patrick's Day, the 3rd Thursday of March. Down at the sewer plant, we had a leak on an existing structure. Down there, they thought it was a water line. I know Tam came down, Pat went down and saw cut it. They made a repair on that. It had nothing to do with the dechlorination or with the EFC project. It's just one of those things that happened that's been repaired. I haven't been down there to see it with my own eyes, but I did talk to Jimmy. And for the month of January, the plant, which is has a certification for 120,000 gallons per day, averaged 90,000 gallons per day with 1.8 inches of precipitation for that month. So you're in the 80% zone. We talked, thankfully everybody talked about the community choice aggregation. I was only able to attend it remotely for about 20 minutes, and I just have some slides I took pictures of. I'm hoping Jeff in the not too distant future will make it so that we can have a recorded session on our website. I think that's important. In the water districts 1 and 2, the Department of Health annually or sometimes semi-annually inspects a couple of our things. They came last week and they inspected the master meter at the Village Line up at Highland Union Cemetery, and they also inspected the pump station at Corbin Hill. A report is forthcoming. I don't suspect anything bad will come out of that. With the building department, I have a summary for January. There were 19 permit applications received, 13 permits were issued, 12 certificates of compliance, 2 certificates of occupancy were issued, 35 building permit inspections were done, 1 violation notice was issued. I'm glad to hear a small number there. 11 municipal searches were completed. There were 24 requests. And I won't say any names, but one of those certificates of occupancy dated back to the 80s. I'm glad that that applicant was able to resolve that. It took a little while, but that's resolved, so that's good. And finally, I was invited last Thursday morning very kindly to an organization I love. The Rotary invited little old Richie Sullivan to speak about the Forest of Dean Mine, which is out on Mine Road. I have some drone pictures. There's not much of it left, so I had to come up with 15 minutes of filling things in. And for everybody that has a fear of public speaking, my iPad didn't work with their projector. So they had to work a little bit of magic while I did some shadow puppets, and we got through it. And the reason I say that is here every once in a while, people hear me talk, water meters and whatnot. I'm going to get a cordless rechargeable projector, and on occasion when I'm doing this, I'm going to flash some things up there for people to see and just do it that way. They're less than $200, and I'll make sure it works before the meeting, and that's my report.
Thank you, sir. That little building where the leak was, we're recommending that we get rid of that building.
That's the old, when they had gas chlorination.
Yeah, there's no need for that. There is some electric still hooked up in there, so we'll have to get that out.
Okay.
And then I think our highway department can get down there and knock it out. It's got I think an 8-inch slab that it sits on, which we can get rid of that too, because there's no use for it. And it's just, he keeps the shovels in there though.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Richie, last week you agreed to help out the historian with the 150th anniversary.
I emailed her,
Okay.
and I haven't heard back yet.
Okay, she's got all kinds of ideas buzzing through her mind. One of them she shared with me is some sort of a pub crawl in the village, which would also include a town outside the village. I mentioned this to Georgie Fallon, and he was thrilled by it. And, you know, he had all kinds of ideas. How it could be run? What could be done by the purveyors to give out little certificates? And so anyway, I talked to her today and told her about Georgie. She knows them well, so they'll get together. I think they had something similar to that for St. Patrick's Day a couple years ago, I think it was. It wouldn't be 2 years ago, because that's when we started our nonsense. But I shouldn't say nonsense.
I will say this publicly. I mean, I have this machine I bought recently to digitize 8mm films, and I have a bunch of them. I have about 50 from the 40s and the 50s for local events. If anybody has anything like that they want to add to this, I'd be happy to digitize it to add to the whole thing that Ronnie's trying to put together. So.
Great, good.
Could I just make a comment about that too? I think what would, and maybe she's thinking about this also, but when you're talking to her, Richie, that I think she should reach out to Charlene Yell in the Chamber of Commerce and loop all the businesses in and everything as part of the the 150th anniversary and everything.
I think today she's working on churches. I think she's trying to get all the churches together.
Ronnie?
Or something.
Yeah. But I think the Chamber could help out with that a lot. That's
Thank
my
you.
guess. Yeah, thanks.
And Stella was up there it was nice to see Stella up there. She was up there with Ronnie. So they're working together on this sort of thing. Okay, Chief, do you have anything for us?
Okay, just a couple things, please. Thank you. Last week, we did a complete survey of the town again, streetlights. So we reported that there's only 3 streetlights out that we could find within our confines, and they've already been reported to Orange and Rockland. We'll follow up next week. We don't have a lot of good luck with them coming right out, but we'll follow up next week as well, just to make sure they're repaired. And last week as well, if you're not aware, there was a small incident down in Brooks Park where somebody went through the ice. So Deputy Chief Castillo, Officer Mang, and the fire department responded. So this week we put in an order for some throw bags. So if you're familiar with them, it's just the bag to throw if someone's there. Obviously, the ice is starting to melt now, but they can also be deployed in any kind of waterway as well. So all our 4 cars will have them. We'll have an extra one at the station as well, just in case one gets wet and has to dry out. So just plan ahead for something and hopefully nothing occurs. Other than that, that's about it so far.
I understand this person that was on the ice and went through the ice was chasing her dog?
Oh, that's correct, yes.
Yeah.
So everything turned out okay.
Okay.
But we're gonna be ready if something else happens like that again. Thank you.
Deputy Chief, do you have anything for us? No? Okay, thank you. Justin, do you have anything?
All set. A couple things for next meeting for agenda items.
Okay. Finally, Jeff Gathers, who has been in EMT for I don't know how long, he spends I don't know how much time at the ambulance corps. He finally got himself put on the list and asked to be hired. So Kelly has his letter, and he would like to be hired as a part-time EMT, 29 hours a week at the salary schedule with a maximum probation. Would anybody like to make it a motion for it?
So moved.
Seconded? All in favor? So carried. Jeff would be hired. I don't have a starting date, but I think today is a little too soon, but he'll start as soon as possible.
Yeah, good.
Then I have one more. I'd like to hire this person even though he hasn't been interviewed. So I'd like to tentatively hire him under the same circumstances as Jeff. He's from Florida, New York. His name is Christopher Richner. And by the way, the beginning salary for this is $17.12 an hour. He's the only person on the list that responded that he was interested in the position. So if we could hire him tonight, go ahead.
Just to comment on that, Jeff has spoken with him. I think it was a telephone interview.
Okay.
And in corresponding with Jeff today, he definitely would like to bring him on.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, and so I'd like to move that we do that.
Seconded?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Okay, so now we got 2 guys in.
What was his last name, Supervisor? His name again, I'm sorry.
Richner. And it's Christopher with a K.
Okay.
A middle initial A. Now, if anybody has noticed, Kelly has kind of a half smile on her face because she finally found somebody to replace Deb in the upstairs. So this young lady, I interviewed her with Kelly. We interviewed 2 girls. Both of them were so good. I said, Kelly, you pick the one you want because, if we can't take both of them, you take the one. So anyway, I don't know how to pronounce her first name, Eunice. Eunice, yeah, that's it. Marsh Scheiders. She would be full-time at the salary schedule with a 90-day, it's a 90-day temporary appointment because there is no one on the account clerk's list. So the county, we have the county's permission to hire her on a contingent basis. Once she passes the test and gets put on the list, then we hire her permanently. So this would be a 90-day temporary appointment. Anybody like to?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you very much. I'm sure Kelly will be happy. She's having trouble with the other slot in her office. Elaine will be leaving soon, and right now there's nobody that's interested in that payroll clerk's job. There's a better title than payroll clerk, but what's it called, Joan?
I thought it was payroll clerk.
Oh, okay, payroll clerk. So she's still looking for payroll clerk. Okay. Jim, you had something else you wanted to bring up later in the meeting, or was that it on the
No,
ambulance?
that's it, yeah.
That's it on ambulance, correct?
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss, what? Huh?
Public comment.
We already did that.
No, you didn't.
Public comment. Yes.
Mr. Livesey forgot to mention that last night he was a recipient of an honor from Assemblyman Colin Schmidt. He is now on the 99th Assembly District's, is it a Wall of Fame or Hall of Fame? I'm not clear.
Wall
on
of
that.
Fame, yeah.
Wall of Fame. So congratulations.
And there was somebody else from the village there that was honored also. Would you mind telling us who that was?
I don't know, some guy, some old Marine.
Come on.
Thomas Pitt.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Small world, coincidence. 14 of us were in a room just introducing each other to each other and talking about what we did in the service and what have you. And first person I talked to, he was in Vietnam. So I said, oh, I was too. He said, where were you? I said, Cu Chi with the 25th Division. He says, that's where I was, 68, 69, exact same time. We were both there, but we didn't know each other.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
There's a lot of service on that stage.
Yes, yes, there was. What impressed me is the youngest guy, the one that sat kind of in front of me with all his service in Afghanistan
Right.
and
He's from
Iraq.
Cornwall.
Yeah. Okay, now we'll try again to go into executive session to discuss police personnel and ambulance personnel.
Motion?